Hey, welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. Temperatures outside very mild in the 60s across the area. We've got nothing but blue sky, a light breeze blowing, and tell you what, today's going to be one of those top 10 days. So all in all, not a bad looking forecast. We're going to have near record warm temperatures for tomorrow before things change by the end of the week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel, who is on the road again. Bridgette?
Howdy, coming to you from Brookings, South Dakota. I promise I will have video up and running by the time our guest arrives. Just got done helping out with some things down here for South Dakota's state FFA convention, and maybe I'm running a moment behind, but I'll get there just fine. It's beautiful. It's 76 degrees down here.
Yeah, it's all across the northern and central plains, we're looking at some really, really nice weather. Now, as we head into tomorrow, we're looking at near record warm temperatures, and that's going to fuel the fire for severe storms that are expected to break out as we head into Thursday across parts of the northern and central plains. More on that in a bit. But we're looking at some beautiful, beautiful weather out there this afternoon. As I said, a top 10 day with light winds, and we're looking at temperatures topping out in the low 70s today with, again, those winds blowing very lightly out of the south at about 5-10. Then tonight, clear skies with lows in the upper 40s to near 50, and Wednesday, that's where we could see some record warm temperatures. A record on Wednesday is 89. Set back in 1990. We'll be right near that, about 87, 88. With breezier conditions tomorrow out of the southeast at about 15 to 30. So the winds will be a factor tomorrow. And then a slight chance of an isolated storm Wednesday night. And then Thursday, still a mild day with highs in the mid to upper 70s. But a cold front will move in from the west. And as we head into late afternoon, and especially the early evening hours, that's when we'll see a chance for storms developing. Now, the Storm Prediction Center does have areas just east of the valley in a slight risk for severe weather. We'll see if they adjust that a little further westward to include the valley. Right now, it doesn't look to be the case. I do think most of the strong to severe storms on Thursday will be east of the valley into Lakes Country and into southern Minnesota. So if you have any travel plans going down there, could be a little rocky. And then much cooler weather behind that cold front as we head into the end of the week with upper 40s to low 50s. And then the weekend doesn't look the best. Another chance of rain coming in here on Sunday with temperatures in the 50s. So kind of back-to-back bad weekends. I like to say, well, let's get these bad weekends out of the way now and then have nice weekends as we head into the summer. Let's keep our fingers crossed on that one. But it's nice to at least get a dose of some summer heat before some much cooler weather comes back into the picture. Now, I was asked today, do you think we're done with the measurable snow? I do. I don't discount us getting a few snow showers with colder air pouring in now and then over the next couple of weeks, but measurable snow, I don't see it. Now, are we done with the freezing temperatures? Absolutely not. No, we're still going to have some mornings that will be dropping into the 20s, so hold off on planting those gardens outside just yet.
Well, it feels a little like whiplash. Like, it was super cold. I just got all the snow melted out of my yard. Now it's warm again. For those of you who are curious how your air conditioners and furnace systems are going to keep up with this, you might want to start making those phone calls now. Also, this is going to be my first chance to run the air conditioning in my pickup this season. Might want to check that out on your vehicles, because you're right, we're going to flip-flop between the hot and the cold here for a little while. I will say it was interesting to note yesterday after the show, I was driving south into South Dakota. I probably saw about 6 tractors doing tillage, right? So they're out in the field. They're probably got fertilizer on the ground. There was only a couple that had drills or air seeders behind them. There may be more as I make my way north again today. But so far, everybody's kind of picking and choosing their fields. I would say there's not a lot of seed in the ground yet. And as you said, with colder temperatures expected, we may have folks wait just a little while to do that as well.
Right. And think, I don't know if you remember back, but 3 years ago on this date, Bridgette, we had quite a snowfall event, and one of our farmers messaged me. He goes, "I remember that year we didn't get into the fields until that first weekend. I think he said May 4th before they were able to even get in the fields."
Absolutely was. It took lots longer than anybody really anticipated. But we don't get to change that. Mother Nature's going to do what she wants. So I realize if there's any fit fields that are ready to go, and if you feel like you are uh, confident, there's certainly going to be some wheat that's gone in. You will see more soybeans, depending on the fields that you're at. You may want to get some of it in before corn. We're just going to see what that rest of the week looks like. And certainly the sugar beet guys are keeping a close eye out as well. Yeah, it's going to be busy once we get the opportunity to go full blast.
And the fields are drying out enough. Well, obviously in South Dakota, you said they're already out tilling, so we've got to be pretty close to that here in the valley, don't you think?
Actually, I saw equipment moving south of the Wahpeton exit in North Dakota.
Okay.
Wahpeton exit. And I saw some coming, let's say north of Watertown. Not a huge amount yet, but there's crop moving.
Okay.
And I know that as we go west along I-94, we're going to see more people going. I had a lot of posts about people. If you had corn or sunflower stalks last year on minimum till, you're probably out there busting stalks right now, getting ready to clear off some of that plant debris so you can do a better job of planting as soon as you're ready as well.
Good deal. Well, like I said, hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate, and not a lot of rain in the forecast. Now, as we get into Sunday, Monday, a couple of our models are trying to crank out a half inch to an inch of precip. I'm not buying that. Not just yet.
Okay.
I think a lot of that will be to our south, into areas, let's say, down towards Sioux Falls, towards Minneapolis. Now, that's where the heavier rainfall will be. Keeping a close eye on that, but a couple of our models are trying to inch that a little further northward to be giving us about a half inch to an inch. Again, not quite buying that just yet, but something we're keeping an eye on for Sunday into Monday.
Well, I think you're going to have a lot of people watching that very, very closely to see what it looks like. I mean, if temperatures are cool but we don't get any moisture, that's going to be helpful for next week. Let's try to get as much done as we can, because you're talking around the 1st of May, potential rain starting again. And by potential, I mean more significant than a quarter inch.
Yeah, I think it was the 2nd through the 5th, or right around that time frame on the LRC calendar. So, yeah, let's dry things out before that for sure.
That would be kind of nice. Now, for those of you who are, maybe you're in the shop today, even if you're in the field with some fertilizer work going on, don't forget to pay attention to Jay's phrase, that pays, because you could win cold hard cash knowing what that phrase will be when the appropriate time is given. You're going to need to call in for the Jay Thomas Show between 2 and 5 o'clock, because you have the opportunity to win cold hard cash. This is all brought to us by Laney's, ATI Diesel in Fargo, JD's Barbecue, and the cash sponsor for this week is Red River Range. Don't let road construction, I didn't say road rage, road construction, keep you away. Red River Shooting Range in West Fargo is open for you to take aim. So pay attention during our show coming up. After us, it was Jay's. If you're curious and are wanting to let others know what's going on in the field, or you want to know about specific areas, you can give us a call. You can do that on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. Additionally, you could send emails to us. Dean is weather at flagfamily.com. I'm ag at flagfamily.com, and Superior Grain Equipment powers those inboxes. Plus, they make sure that your farm has superior grain storage, drying, and handling solutions. Lighthouse Commodities makes sure to feature our Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV live streams where you can watch us. And today I even remembered my headrest cover behind me. So for those of you who noticed it the last time I was remote, they're like, hey, where's that cover behind your head that says WDAY Ag Director? Look, I got it. So you can go check my facts, if you will, over there on our Lighthouse Commodities live stream. And remember, we're going to be doing the Flag a Farmer program. Landmark Companies and Geronimo Power and myself will be out here in the next couple of weeks handing out U.S. flags to folks we see in the field, in the yard, in the shop, so that you can fly those flags proudly, whether it's on the equipment, off the flagpole, or buildings in your yard. Looking forward to having more people be a part of that process. I mentioned I'm in South Dakota, I'm down here for the South Dakota FFA convention. And last night had the opportunity to listen to a couple of retiring addresses. They had Ireland McAvery. She is their South Dakota state reporter, and then also Kate Meyer, their secretary. We also saw the recognition of many sponsors, the FFA Foundation board down here, and a lot of awards for proficiencies and agri-sciences. Today, there have been and will be more workshops. There's a career fair for students. The convention was going to continue through Wednesday, and so students are competing in contests. They are receiving their awards and scholarships. There was even a recognition last night for the Blue Jackets Bright Futures program, and that is a program where you can sponsor an FFA jacket for members who cannot afford their own jacket. You're welcome to donate that dollar amount, whether it's in North Dakota, South Dakota, or Minnesota. If you're an alumni, you may want to participate and remember all the traditions of your blue jacket, then you can share that with others by making sure the next generation has their blue jackets as well. When we return, we have the opportunity to kick off our chat today with our guest, Spencer Stensrude. He's with AgVentures Alliance. I teased that this morning on Body and Friends when I said, what's the AgVentures Alliance? Well, good news. Spencer will be here in just a few minutes to tell us more. Stay tuned. While you're out in those fields right now, maybe you're doing a little tillage and you're even getting started with planting or simply scouting them in advance. Consider what your drainage could be if it was improved. And Landmark Companies wants to help you do that. They are your local leader in farm drainage. You can give a call to Blake Sunday. He'll talk to you about early order discounts and as well as their precision drainage proven results. You can find them landmarkteams.com. Well, as we connect with our guest today, wanted to make sure to let everybody know once again that it'll be Jay's phrase that pays as we go into the Jay Thomas show after 2 o'clock. So be ready. You're going to want to call him up to win some cold hard cash today. We are joined by our guest, Spencer Stensrude. He is with AgVentures Alliance. Spencer, how's the weather where you are today?
It's a good day here in north central Iowa. It's sunny and warm, and there's a lot of tillage and planting going on today.
I would venture a guess you are a little bit further ahead of us. You've had some moisture, but probably not quite as much snow and so forth.
Yeah, maybe not. We have definitely had our share of storms this spring, but haven't. And I think a little further south of us got the heavier rains, but we got the tornado warnings and watches, but fields are starting to shape up.
Tornadoes, warnings, and watches in April. You guys really live right there in Iowa.
That's right. That's right.
So, Spencer, start by introducing yourself, and then let's also lead into what is AgVentures Alliance. I've had multiple questions about it.
Well, that's great. Send them our way.
Okay.
So, AgVentures Alliance is a farmer-owned co-op. Originally started here in north central Iowa, and it was started kind of a grassroots effort of a group of farmers that wanted to do something about low corn prices. Back in the late 90s, it was a time when there's excess production, not a lot of places to go with the crop, and therefore not the greatest outlook on prices. And the group of farmers decided they were going to try to think long term and do something about it. At that time, there was they really kind of worked together almost on like a volunteer basis to go investigate different opportunities. Landed on some new technology coming into the ethanol industry, and they actually developed a ethanol plant that and went to their friends and neighbors across northern Iowa, southern Minnesota, and raised money and developed the project, and it made a big difference for farmers having that demand from an ethanol plant next door, and helped create some competition, and then at that time it was really worked as a good hedge for them with the ethanol plant making money when corn prices were down, and the farmers making money when ethanol wasn't making as much money. So that worked out really well. And then I always like to say kind of the master stroke was somebody having the kind of the foresight to say, let's keep this group together and do it again. And now here we are 26 years later. We're not building ethanol plants anymore, but we are taking the long view and investing in technology that can increase farm profitability.
When you think about what you've done with ethanol, was there an opportunity to do the same with soybeans or other crops as well in order to try to elevate that level of value?
There certainly is and will be. I will say that over time, I think the way that those types of infrastructure projects get financed really matured, and kind of became something that our group of farmers was not really set up to do anymore. When you're talking about billion-dollar projects, that's pretty hard to bootstrap. I would say the opportunities have changed a lot. as we've seen some different soybean projects happening, and we're looking at other types of projects, but for the size of our farmer-owned co-op, we're not kicking off any billion-dollar infrastructure projects. We're trying to start earlier, be part of companies as they get built.
Now, as we began the conversation, you mentioned that as you look at AgVentures Alliance, you're a cooperative. And to many, that kicks off the idea of a cooperative elevator system where you're physically handling the grain. But it sounds to me like you're not physically handling the grain, but you are handling the market and the money opportunities. Am I accurate in that description?
That's right. We are not a traditional ag retailer. We are not buying and selling grain or uh, doing any application or anything like that. We are really cooperatively structured with that mission to increase farm profitability. So all of the members of our co-op have just kind of raised their hand or planted the flag that they want to be part of a better future for farmers. And the way that we think we can do that is by investing in new startups and technologies that can increase profitability.
We're going to talk about those new startups and technology after we do our bottom of the hour news. But before we get to that, Spencer, are you open to more members, or do you feel like your co-op is right sized for the business you're currently doing?
It's a big job increasing farm profitability. So we are open to new members and new ideas. Yeah, it's a pretty lightweight ask to become a member. We've got it on the website, and you can join the co-op by paying $250 and a $25 per year membership fee to let us know that you're still engaged, you still want to be part of it. So a pretty lightweight ask on that.
And truly as a co-op functioning and focusing on grain, nothing, diversing into hogs or beef or anything like that, correct?
Uh, Actually, we are pretty agnostic to to the opportunities. We do work in livestock. Have uh, we have some kind of like alternative crops, alternative revenue sources for farmers that are on the table, and we did start very heavily focused on kind of that corn belt type farmer, but over time we've the membership has kind of grown outside of just this area, and we've got pockets and regions of farmers all over the country. So the membership interest is pretty wide, and that definition of farm profitability is there's a lot of different ways you can tackle it.
Well, I think we're going to tackle some of that coming up next. So we want to hear more about geography covered. As you said, you've got a wide reach across the U.S. But then as I look at your website, there's also something called Countryside Angels. We'll need to know about that and what you're doing when it comes to some of these new technology ideas you're bringing into farmers. So stay tuned. We will return to have that discussion. Welcome to our conversation today with Spencer Stensrude, AgVentures Alliance, I believe, out of Mason City, Iowa. Spencer, I forgot to even ask you that when we started. I just knew Iowa, but I forgot which city. Did I get it right?
You did. Although I'll throw the curveball. We moved our office last Thursday, so we're Clear Lake. We moved 10 miles.
Well, okay. I hope that doesn't confuse folks. So I hope they can find you.
Yeah, yeah.
Spen- Spencer, you talked about ag tech startups, and as I look at your website, there's quite a number of things that you've been a part of. Can you explain that process? And you mentioned it was your farmer focus that said, we're looking for ways to bring more profitability to the farm. This is one way that we're going to do it. How does this all work?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. It's been an evolution over time. Like I said, farmers started by developing these projects that would actually be end users of the grain. That's changed. That's changed. The opportunities really have changed. Infrastructure is pretty tough to build and has gotten really advanced and sophisticated on the financing side of it. But what hasn't changed is all of the innovation and ideas, and there's more opportunity for that than ever before. And so we we've always had kind of farmers deeply integrated into the process. Our investment committee is made up of farmers, and then we've got myself and another employee and we've got 5 people total, and we're all kind of seeking out different ways we can impact farm profitability. So you mentioned our website, and we've got a nice portfolio page that outlines a lot of the startups we've invested in, but there's a lot of different approaches you can take. You can everything from like biological innovation to hardware and software. Am I still with you, Bridgette?
Yep. So let me ask a couple of questions if I could. When I look at these that you're involved with, some of these startups, does this mean that if I'm a farmer member, I can choose to place some of my investment money into specific startups, or does the committee decide as a group how the overall group's dollars are going to be invested?
Well, thanks for clarifying. So as a co-op member, you do not have to invest any money if you don't want to. We're making the cooperative itself has some assets and earn some income that we're applying by investing in startups that can increase farm profitability. We do let's say like 5 to 15 of those per year, and then but for the farmer members or the other members that do want to invest in startups with their own money, we host a group where we will invite startups to present to that group, and the members can they can decide if they want to invest, and that's I would say that's a subset of our organization. We've got about 80 members in that group, and there's some rules around that. You have to be an accredited investor, which means a net worth over $1 million, and that sort of thing. So it's not necessarily everybody who's doing that, but we do host that group, and we will invite startups to present to them.
Looking at some of the categories that you have, the investment making are into companies for ag bio, and you're talking about genetic innovation, biological advances. Then we have robotics and equipment on here. We're looking at the advanced machinery sectors. Agribusiness marketplaces. I recognize a number of names on there. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to just spew those out, but things like Tractor Zoom, Harvest IQ, animal health. You have your hands in some things like Genovax for technologies. Let's see, this is NutBio, MGenis. You're in bioenergies and materials, farm management software and sensing. livestock management systems like Barnwell Bio, poultry patrol, and novel farming systems like stock cropper, which I'm very familiar with. So really, it's a huge spectrum. And as you said, you cover a wide geographical area for your farms. So it can be just about anything that comes to your attention that could be worth the opportunity, correct?
That's right, and we have taken a pretty broad view of that because there's, I think, like we said, I think there's just such a um, it's such a big job to increase farm profitability, and I don't think anybody really knows exactly the way um, that the future is going to go, and so we have we've made bets in a lot of different areas, and the 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 main thing is that we always kind of, it is tied back to specifically how can this help farmers. So the stock cropper example, kind of an alternative means of production, getting livestock back on the land in a way that makes it manageable for people who um, you know can't do that otherwise. There's other some of the other, so that's kind of a different type of production, whereas something like soil action is a sensor that measures nutrients in the soil, so you can hopefully get kind of more granular data on what your fertility levels are and know what to apply where, and kind of just refine those fertilizer recommendations. So that's clearly kind of the on the expense side, managing the expenses. Um,
You
and then
know,
we've got
uh,
yeah,
one
go
of
ahead.
the one of the things that I think I have right here, because I'm learning along with everybody else today, Spencer. That's my part of today, and that is when I look at what your farmers are investing financially as a cooperative, but then they're bench testing all of this. So the R&D is truly happening with your members, so that they can give feedback as to whether or not it's a viable option. Correct?
That's right, and that's been kind of an evolution over time as well. We we have a great partner down in Memphis, Tennessee, called Ag Launch, that really pioneered this program with sending the startups that go through their accelerator to a group of farmers to test the products. And so as we started working with them and their accelerator, they've helped build out this farmer trial network, where we kind of draft innovative farmers that want to be part of the cutting edge future, and match them up with the startups building it, so that the startups have real boots on the ground experience and go see what works and what breaks, and hopefully can build a better product a lot faster than figuring it out on their own.
You have a tab called the Countryside Angels. Have we talked about them, but just not given them the correct name yet in this conversation?
That's right. That is the group. That's the group for the 80 members or so that have kind of raised their hand and said, "I want to put my own capital to work in these startups." And so we host quarterly meetings for this group, and we usually invite 2 or 3 startups to present, and then each of the individuals get to decide if they want to invest in the startups or not.
All right. That helps tremendously to give a little background on the opportunities that might be in front of some of our farmers. And Spencer, if folks are listening and they think, I'd like to know more, maybe I'm willing to be a partner in such an opportunity, how could they do that?
Yeah. Well, if you'd like to know more, connect with me. I'm on X, LinkedIn. We've got a contact form on the website. My email is spencer@agventuresalliance.com. So should be pretty easy to connect there. If you've already heard enough and you're one of our innovative farmers that wants to build the future of ag, and you've heard enough, you can become a member on agventuresalliance.com pretty easily.
Well, as you continue to bring successful startups and ideas to the marketplace, keep in touch. I'd like to hear more about some of these and where they're going in the future. So appreciate your time today, Spencer.
Thanks for having me on today, Bridgette.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to recap what promises to be a couple of great days with near record warmth tomorrow, followed by much cooler weather by the end of the week. We'll have that. And Bridgette will have a couple of ag topics to touch on as well when we come back. Hey, welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:52 in the afternoon. Temperatures outside here at the studio are checking in at 65 degrees and a light southeast breeze blowing. We'll make it up about another 5 to 7 degrees into the lower 70s as we head throughout the afternoon. A beautiful day with light winds, and we'll continue with the decent weather tonight. Not as chilly with lows into the upper 40s as opposed to the lower 30s this morning. And then tomorrow we're going to be looking at near record warmth with highs in the mid to upper 80s. The current record stands at 89, set back in 1990, and we'll be flirting with that. And then as we head into Wednesday night, a slight chance of an isolated shower or thunder shower. And then as a cold front approaches Thursday afternoon, late afternoon into evening, could see a round of showers and storms again. Some of those could be on the strong to possibly severe side east of the valley. Best chance as you head down into southern Minnesota, where unfortunately they just had this round of severe weather just last week. They could have another round as we head into Thursday. So, and again, it's been a pretty stormy couple of weeks just to areas south of here. And remember, with the LRC cycle, this same pattern will cycle back over our area as we head into early July. And instead of the severe weather being south with that jet stream lifting north as we head into the summer, more than likely that severe weather that hit to our south, this part of the LRC cycle will be a little closer to home during the next cycle as we head deeper into summer. So keep that in mind. Mark your calendar for that if you have any outdoor plans then. But let's enjoy the next couple of days. They look really, really beautiful around here, Bridgette.
I think I just heard a number of people say, "What? Storms? That's not funny." So
Yeah.
We'll have to answer to them later.
All right.
Over in Minnesota, a newly identified disease for corn and sorghum closely resembles iron deficiency. So sometimes it's misidentified and leads farmers to trying to negate the iron deficiency, but they're treating the wrong situation. The study about this was conducted down at Texas A&M, and what they found was nearly identical symptomology in corn when they were noticing bright lemon green foliar discoloration on the interveinal chlorosis on wild grasses, and this was in the Texas Panhandle. So the initial observations, everybody thought it was iron deficiency, but the soil and plant tissue test showed that those sick plants actually had higher iron content than the healthy-looking ones. So given the similarity of the disease symptoms to those typically associated with an iron deficiency, it's not hard to imagine that people are spending extra money in the wrong place. You're not going to be able to use iron to fix what's going on when you have a pathogen that's infecting the plants, and it's a bacteria that is causing these symptomology. So,
Bridgette, Addison wants to know, he's like intervenial something or other, what you just say. He wants to impress people by that terminology.
It should be like a word of the week thing.
Okay, so let's
that
go back.
tongue-tied me.
All right, so foliar means the leaf, right? And
Okay.
that's a lemon green color, but
Yep.
it's a discolored. So if it's got the yellow and green spotting to it, that's a discoloration. Interveinal chlorosis, down the center of a plant blade. So think about grass, there's a center blade, and you'll see a vein through there. You see it on tree leaves as well.
Mm-hmm.
Chlorosis means there's also a discoloration there, and that often signifies like an iron deficiency, etc. Except in this case, it's being done by a bacteria and not an iron deficiency.
Intervenial chlorosis. See, Addison, you can impress the ladies now.
I'm going to write this down, and next time Don Kinsler's in, he's going to be very impressed.
There you go. Yes, he will.
By my
I would
vocabulary.
appreciate using that. Yes, absolutely, he would. I keep a running list of things to talk to Don about, and now, Addison, you'll be in on that conversation as well.
He's going to be so happy.
Yes, he's
He
going to be
will.
impressed.
Cool.
As he should be.
So let's talk about Black Gold Farms. They originally from Forest River, North Dakota, now based in Grand Forks. They are the largest potato producer for Frito-Lay. And back in March, they were part of the National Ag Week celebration in Washington, D.C. Chairman of the board, Greg Halverson, who's the grandson of the original founders of the farm, took the time to plant potatoes, the voice of the farmer garden, SDA. So we are now being represented as the state of North Dakota by some North Dakota potatoes that are growing right there on the USDA campus at the National Mall. It's a powerful reminder of what goes into our diet and what we raise right here in the United States. Black gold, wonderful story about their origin and how they came to be. They actually are named after the black soils of their original site at Forest River, and also because they raise Black Angus cattle. The cattle are gone, they still have the black soils, and they now are producing potatoes as well as sweet potatoes in 9 different states. And if you're raising wheat, University of Minnesota and North Dakota State want to talk to you. They do scouting methods every summer on volunteered wheat fields. So if you're planting wheat and you are willing to have crop scouts from the universities come on out, take a look for specific pests like cereal aphids and so much more, and be a part of this study, you can drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com. I would be more than happy to connect you with the folks over at University of Minnesota and North Dakota State so that you can be part of this research program that's going on. They're also doing it with soybeans, and they're doing that in conjunction with the Minnesota Soybean Research Board. And so if you have soybean fields, particularly in the Crookston, Moorhead, or Morris area, they would be happy to talk to you too. So again, drop me that email, ag@flagfamily.com. My email is powered by Superior Grain Equipment, and I'll connect you with the 2 universities to make sure that you can be a part of creating those warnings when we have pest pressures in certain areas of our states.
All right, and that'll do it for today's edition of Weather and Ag in Focus. Get out and enjoy this lovely weather. Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.